Hey, family. Baby, you know we appreciate you, and it's time we got to know you even better. So, I got something very special just for you. A survey.
Oh, yeah. We're trying to get to know all about you, your interests, your hopes, your dreams, etc. Your answers will help us find advertisers that make sense for our listeners. That's you, baby girl.
Or boy or non-binary person.
Hell yeah, we inclusive in this bitch.
It'll take 5 minutes and we'll love you forever. Check out the link to our survey in this episode's show notes.
Like, Shallow Hal was just one of the most traumatic because I remember being like, oh, she's probably around my size. Okay. Great. And Hal's friends are like, Hal, are you okay? Yeah. Like that.
Calling body posse sisters. Hush those diet culture whispers. We like your body big or small. Rolls and ripples all for all. Sit on down, it's time to chat. She's all fat.
I'm Sophie,
I'm April, and this is She's All Fat.
the podcast for body positivity, radical self-love, and chill vibes only. This week, we'll discuss bisexual lighting, Fatsuits, and SoulGlo. April,
Yep.
what are you obsessed with this week?
Unfortunately, I'm still obsessed with PYT.
April!
Okay, no,
Victor's
because
gonna skip this entire episode.
No, the thing is, we're only recording this a few days after our last one, so like I am still obsessed with it.
God.
If you want to hear me talk about it, just go back to the last ep and
Just
listen
sing it
to
again.
it. You know where I come from, shawty. So sorry. I want you to know that, of course, I'm in my car singing that over and over again every morning. Of course.
Oh my
That's
God.
what I'm doing. But anyway, okay, aside from that, it's taken me a full month. I said I wasn't going to do this, but I think I'm finally ready to talk about Call Me By Your Name. And I said I wasn't going to cry.
You guys, April becomes obsessed with things like for real obsessed. The other night, I texted April, like, are you awake? And she just texted me this screenshot of Call Me By Your Name downloading from iTunes.
Because you already know what this is. That night was my 15th rewatch. I'm now on my 18th rewatch, and you wish I was joking, but I am not.
God. It's just surprising to me that you're obsessed with a movie about two white men.
Well, why would that surprise you? My favorite movie is the Lizzie McGuire movie.
You're ideologically opposed to white men.
Yeah, not for me. They can be together.
Oh my God.
So, to catch y'all up, at some point, I was like having a real rough week at work, which is every week. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fucking leave and I'm going to get a cheeseburger. I'm going to drive to the ArcLight. I'm going to take my shoes off and I'm going to watch Call Me By Your Name. And so I like pull up, take my shoes off, open the cheeseburger. I already know what it is.
Your shoes off.
I took my shoes off. I was like, it's over.
Oh my God.
10 minutes in, I'm like literally open mouth crying. I'm crying like my parents are like dead. Like I'm crying.
Oh my God.
And it's just the scene that got me. Y'all, spoilers, you gotta see it. It's time. It's on iTunes. Download it. It's $14.99 HD. The scene that got me was like, Elio and Oliver kiss, right? Then Oliver is like still contemplating, like, does he really want to do this? And Elio's like sitting around all over the house, like waiting for him. And then he's like in that cave. It's like nighttime. He's asking Mafalda. He's like, where's Oliver? Where's Oliver? She's like, I don't know where Oliver is. And he's just like sadly looking around, and it's like Sooth John, and it's too much. And then I literally was in the theater like, I'm not exaggerating. I was like, like crying. And then the worst part was I recognized my friend Jack. Shout out to Jackie Sosa. Recognized my friend Jackie in the same aisle as me. I like look over. She's also open mouth crying. And I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, it's too much. It's just so, like, I very rarely have that experience in a movie where I'm just, like, completely transported. It's almost like, yes, I love Elio and Oliver, but it really was more about, like, me. Like, it takes me back to a place where I'm like, okay, now I'm, like, weeping and filled with grief, and, like, it's too much. So it just, like, really took me to a place, and it's just, like, so artistically mesmerizing and so, it's, like, such a perfect thing that I can't look away from it. So I'm, like, gearing up for my 19th rewatch. I'm so obsessed. I want Timothée to take the Oscar. He won't, but I really want him to.
How do you watch the whole, like, it's exhausting for me to watch.
I know, but like, oh, I love it.
Oh my God.
It's just, I think it's just a contrast because I'm just like so like, just been stressed out about so much stuff that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to like exit real life and enter like a world where my only
Northern
problem
Italy
is
in the 80s.
In the 80s, my only problem is like, sorry, Oliver, like, where are you tonight? Like, are you
my
out? Like, what's up? Are you fucking a girl?
Oh my God.
What's up? I am obsessed with Call Me By Your Name. So anyway, what are you obsessed with?
You played the song that I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with Janelle Monáe, Make Me Feel.
That's just the way you make me feel.
The music video, I'm obsessed with the fact that it's like such a Prince riff.
So good. Well,
because he gave
riff.
it to her.
So good.
I'm obsessed with the entire video. I've watched it so many times. She literally validates my entire sexuality in the video. It's just about being bi. It's her and Tessa Thompson and some man who we don't care
about him.
Care.
We're here for Tessa.
She's just like, yeah, I like men, but also Tessa Thompson's here. And like, it's just beautiful. Have you seen all the tweets that are like bisexual lighting?
Yeah, I love it. Because literally.
Just blue and purple.
They went there.
It's beautiful. Like her clear pants on her butt.
Show me the butt.
Just like Janelle Monáe is so talented. She can actually act. She can actually dance.
Yep.
And she can actually sing.
Yep.
The visuals are iconic.
Ugh.
It's such a good song.
Oh.
I just love it. And you know that it's like very rare for me to be obsessed with music. But
that's true.
I just love it.
So good. I cannot wait for the rest of Dirty Computer.
Oh my God. Also, just again, tying into Afrofuturism, Janelle Monáe is like one of the people who taught me about Afrofuturism. And once again, I'm obsessed with Afrofuturism. I think it's so cool.
All right. Let's move on to some shout outs.
Okay. We've got some review shout outs. You guys know the drill. We will be on New and Noteworthy someday. And your guys' comments and shout outs are going to get us there. So we really appreciate you guys writing those comments, giving us a little review. I also think it really helps us get sponsors. So I super appreciate you guys doing that. So some shout outs to people who have given us a little review on Apple Podcasts. A Crush on Life, Smash the Patriarchy, Trivia Freak, Ms. Rose with a Z, Brenna, Mushy Pasta, and Zoe. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Amazing. And now, shout outs to our Patreons. If you are not a Patreon at level $7 and above in our Facebook group, then what is you doing? Get on it.
Well, unless you're just contributing to us with whatever you can afford, and we really appreciate that.
That's very true.
But
we're having fun in the Facebook group.
We're having a lot of fun in there, you guys. Like, there's discussions about the episodes. There's people giving each other, like, clothing suggestions. There's people having full-on discussions about, like, articles and stuff. Everyone in there is so smart and so cool. I really feel, like, very privileged to be a part of that group.
Come join us.
Come join us there.
So some shout outs. Suzanne Fortunato, Andrea Terry, Mara Jarvis, Jessica Musselwhite, Rachel Chaney, and Libby Weibel. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you guys for being part of the family. We really, really appreciate you. You're the reasons we can literally do this.
We love y'all.
We cannot do it without you.
We won't even try.
Yeah.
And now let's move on to our correction/news.
Great.
Section. My first announcement is, so last week we did an episode about health, and we went off. Sophie got to her highest octave. And I just want to say I appreciate so much all the people reaching out to us saying that they felt heard and that they were excited that we did that episode, because we've been gearing up for that episode since we started, and we knew that it would be divisive. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's been supportive. For the people who are having a hard time with like the hard truths that we laid out, I get it. Reality's tough, but please don't be an idiot. When I say don't be an idiot, I mean Sophie is very clear in the episode. If you're having a hard time struggling with what we've laid out, just go ahead and hit that replay and just give it another listen. But please do not be in my DMs asking me, well, I don't understand. If the research says that fat is bad, why wouldn't I say that fat is bad? Just hit that replay. We're going to get there. I believe in y'all.
Yeah. And definitely don't, like, waste your time. You know, you're wasting your time and you're wasting ours.
We're not going to change our minds.
Like, you're not gonna. I just don't understand the point of these, like, messages where it's like, but have you considered?
we thought it through, I promise.
We, like, made a podcast about it.
Yeah. Like I think we're pretty. Can you imagine if we do 2 seasons? We're like, oh, remember when we used to say that, like, fat is, like, not. We're not going to change our minds. Like, please,
Yeah.
please, please. So thank you so much to everyone who really took what we had to say to heart.
And yeah,
we're growing, we're learning.
Totally hear you if you are having trouble letting go of some of those harmful, reductive thoughts about yourself or about others. But, we're here for you. Or you can there's plenty of podcasts that you can listen to make fun of fat people and tell them to lose weight, fatty. So,
For sure.
go listen to one of those.
Thank you.
I also wanted to read a little email we got from one of the doctors who emailed, and I really appreciated this update, so I just wanted to say it. So this is one of the doctors who we read in the, big chunk of doctor emails. Thank you to all those doctors again for writing in. We really appreciate you guys. So here's a quote. I listened to the health episode you put out yesterday. Difficult,
Difficult, for sure.
difficult, but good to be confronted on unseen biases, trying to stay engaged and trying to continue to pursue my own biases, prejudices, and ingrained intolerance with regards to marginalized people and bodies, both in clinical practice and research. And I just want to say, I really appreciate that as a response. I think it's pretty much the best any of us can do when we're confronted. This person emailed us to try to get some feedback, working through some of these things. They listened to the episode, realized we were a little mad, and then they were like, thank you for helping me work through this. I've had so many conversations, especially recently, with people who just don't want to hear anything about how they might be being harmful, or even how they might need to think through things a little bit more, or even just hard conversations. And this approach is the right one.
Yes.
Which is oh, thanks for that. I'm doing my work too. I'm great. I feel so good about that. It makes me feel like we're making a difference. It makes me feel like you are listening to what we're saying and you're recognizing that you have a different perspective or a different bias, and you're trying to sit with it. And that's all I could ever ask. And I so appreciate that.
And I understand that that's hard.
Yeah.
When I read that, I'm okay, wow, that person's really trying
They're
their
really
best.
working.
Because I get that the natural impulse is to be no, they told me.
Yeah.
They told me. The
Yeah.
same as when you find out Tooth Fairy's not real. You're but my mother said. Why would she lie to me?
Oh my God.
But, yeah, I'm really proud of that person for doing that good work, and I hope people follow suit.
And what a mature response, too.
Yeah.
It's not often that I get chastened and I'm thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Totally.
Also, this person also said that one of their colleagues is working almost exclusively on research about HS, which was really cool for me to hear. So I'm super excited about that. Yeah, that was a really cool response. We'd love to hear from the rest of you who we talked about on the show, and I hope that it was a helpful episode. Also, I think it's interesting that a lot of the pushback we get on episodes like this tends to come from women who identify as having lost a bunch of weight recently. A lot of our more vicious emails have come from women who want to note that they've lost weight recently. And I just think that that's really indicative of how self-hating diet culture is, and how the feeling I get from that is oh, these women want to feel like they've beat the system. They want to feel like they've found the cure. They want to feel like they're never going back. They want to feel like they're better than they were before, and now they're better than us. And they want to feel like, they were dumb before, and now that they've figured it out, and it's perfect and whatever.
Yeah. Clearly they get something from, because we get emails in our inbox where it's I used to be like you, a fatty on the couch not doing anything. I've lost 120 pounds and kept it off. And because of calorie in and out. And it's just I just feel this is a guess, but I feel if you really did feel totally comfortable in your new body and you felt really, self-assured or whatever, you probably wouldn't be listening to She's All Fat podcast and then emailing us that we're reductive fatties. It's more so, but when I read letters like that, I mostly just feel bad
sad
for you. Yeah, because you're being really transparent. It's sad.
And literally all of the assumptions that you've made are wrong. I'm just man.
And also I think you know that.
Yeah.
You
well,
listen
totally
to 2 seasons of the podcast. I think you know that.
I mean, thanks for listening, but what
Girl.
are you doing?
Girl, we see you though.
If you would rather be talking about that, go listen to one of the thousands of podcasts about losing weight,
Go listen to Skinny Bitch Pod.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure there's 20 of those.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Sorry, girl.
Anyways, just really appreciative of our family and excited to be pushing forward on this dialogue.
Thank
Love
you for
guys.
sticking with us when we had a not chill episode.
Yeah,
about
sorry.
something not sorry at all, for something very, very, very important. And we're ready to do this. So,
The reason I said sorry is just because, like, usually we're so chill. So our friend Danny, who used to be at Choose Life Warrior and now she's at I Am Danny Adriana on Instagram, she always does these really cute videos of herself listening to us, and like we appreciate them so much. I love them every
it's
week.
so sweet.
It's literally one of the ways that I'm like, okay, good, the up went up and it's good because Danny's listening to it.
Oh my gosh.
And this week she was like, listen, I'm listening, and I was like, I hope you like it, because my thought was like, Danny always talks about how chill it is, and we were not chill this
we're like
week.
screaming.
I was so mad.
But we had to.
We had to. So, and so I was like, Danny, I hope you like it. And she was like, unless I've had a personality change, I will.
Yeah, I saw
She's
that.
so cute.
She's the best.
Go
Thank
follow
you all.
Danny.
Yeah, that's a great follow. Thank
Yeah.
you all for sticking with us.
Yeah.
We should really get to the meat of it, don't you think?
Let's do it. The meat of it.
So this week on the meat of it, I'm excited to do this episode that I've been threatening to do for a while now.
Every week, you guys, April's like, what about this one? I was like, can we do this instead?
Just tell me while we're on the air why you did want to do this one.
It's very depressing to me.
Well, okay, yes, it is depressing, but we're going to explore it. And also, I have a theory
I trust you.
that is unfounded,
Okay.
that I think this might be going away soon.
Okay,
I feel
cool.
like maybe I'm seeing less of it.
I
So
trust
anyway,
you. I trust you.
Yeah, when I thought, of things we would want to do for this podcast, this topic is one of the first things that came to mind, which is fat suits. Like, my question is like, why? Like, why are there fat suits? So I just want to explore fat suits. I want to think of some examples that first pop into my head when I think of, like, okay, prominent moments where I saw a fat suit being used in media, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And kind of just, like, unpack it a little bit. Because
Great.
we've all seen a fat suit. I think fat suits are one of those things where you get used to seeing it in the media, so you might not even really think about it. Like, kind of how we're talking about, there's always, like, fat-phobic jokes that people, like, they miss because they're used to it. So I think people are, like, used to seeing fat suits, but I just want to, like, remind y'all that, like, that shit's not okay.
Or like when you mentioned that the guy wears a fat suit in This Is Us. We got a couple tweets that were like, what? I was like, sorry.
We're gonna get to that later in this episode.
Sorry.
Strap in. So let's talk fat suits.
Okay.
Okay. So the first example I think of, obviously, is when Tyra Banks put on a fat suit in 2005.
Right. Iconic.
Couldn't find a clip of it online. Don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
Probably she scrubbed the
Maybe
web.
she scrubbed it. Maria, let me know if you can find a clip. I couldn't find it on YouTube.
Meanwhile, she wants the clip everywhere that's her going, kiss my fat ass.
And she slaps it, and her like little dimple like ripples.
She's like
in
a
the,
13.
She's like, girl, chill, like please.
Yeah.
So Tyra Banks, if y'all don't remember, had a talk show on the CW in the
God.
early thousands. I remember, obviously.
course.
And one of the episodes was like the body episode, where it's like, I want to know what it's like to not be the hottest woman alive, like literally. So she's like, so I'm gonna put on a fat suit, and like I remember her being like, oh, the fat suit is gonna be, a woman who's 350 pounds, that I'm gonna explore the other side or whatever. So here's a quote I found from that episode from 2005. I started walking down the street, and within 10 seconds, a trio of people looked at me and snickered, looked me right in my eye, and started pointing and laughing in my face. And I had no idea it was that blatant. And if you recall,
Tyra.
the episode was Tyra like crying because nobody thought she was hot for 5 seconds.
And then she took it off and she was like, oh, thank God.
There's a scene of her like ripping off the neck
like,
fat.
"Oh."
She's like, oh, never again, never again.
I remember, at the time I was like very also fat negative, but I remember watching it and just being, I kind of just watched it very confused. Like I was like, you needed a suit to learn that?
Why?
Like, why did you gotta experiment with that? It kind of reminded me of the like there's similar to me videos of white people getting put in like blackface essentially and walking around being like, somebody follow me around in a store.
Yeah, they have the moment of being like, I feel, jeez.
It's like, I feel treated lesser. And it's like, yeah, didn't you listen?
No, clearly not.
Yeah, I don't know. It was really funny to have Tyra just be like, I'm so glad I can go back to my normal beauty. I'm like, you're a
Beautiful.
supermodel.
And like genuinely was crying
Yeah.
that she was not hot for 5 seconds.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
weirdly though, I remember watching that because I must have been in like junior high school when that came out and thinking, my first thought was, oh, see, now she'll get it. And
Oh,
then my
really?
second thought was like, what? Like my first thought was like, I guess I'm just was at the time was like so used to being ignored for my body that I'm like, okay, now maybe like you'll be forced
Or
to
be more
understand it.
empathetic
Be
or
more
something?
empathetic, like by force, because you'll go through it. So like my first thought wasn't immediately like no, but then once I watched it, and her just like going on and on about how she's like these rolls, oh god, like I was like, oh jeez, I mean I didn't like it.
The idea of trying on someone else's body is just offensive to me.
It's very odd. It's a very like self-centered way to look at the world. It's like the only way I can know is if it's done to me.
Right.
Like, so there's this Tyra incident for like the social experiment use of the fat suit, and I also think about this video that went viral a couple years ago.
this.
You remember this too? It was like this blonde girl. They put her in this fat suit, and they were like, "We're gonna have her thin pictures on her Tinder profile, set up these dates, and then have her show up fat, and then obviously all these dudes are gonna." Say abusive shit to her because men are trash.
What's up, player? A recent study has shown that the number one fear for women dating online is that they're going to meet a serial killer. The number one fear for men, that the woman they meet is going to be fat. So today, we're going to test that theory.
You look a little different than your picture.
How old is your picture on your Tinder?
You look quite different. I don't mean to be rude, but in your photos, you're a lot skinnier.
Look kind of more voluptuous.
That is a horrible thing to do to someone. So I found an article from Cosmopolitan where they had a fat writer like watch the clip, be horrified, and then write about it. And this is what she had to say, which resonated with me a little bit. If someone asks you to put on a fat suit as an experiment, don't do it. My body is not a joke, and when you act like it is, you're a terrible, shitty, garbage person who is actively participating in the objectification of women. When you present yourself as a caricature of a fat woman, you don't bring yourself or any non-fat people any closer to understanding another woman's life, and you perpetuate plenty of gross myths and half-truths about what it's like to be fat.
Yeah.
Which I agree.
I feel like that sums it up. I mean, I also feel like that experiment was fucked up in a lot of ways. I do think it's fucked up to have somebody swipe on someone and then have someone totally different show up just to provoke this. I wouldn't want someone to show up to a date expecting a thin woman because I'm not a thin woman.
No.
And if they did, like, obviously it wouldn't be okay for them to be like, fuck you, you're fat and that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were like, you look really different from your pictures, like I wasn't expecting that, that would be fair to me.
Yeah. But I wonder for this specific like study, I guess was what they're trying to do, or social experiment, why is the fat suit necessary exactly versus...
I think it really, honestly, I think everything with fat suits has to do with, like, number one, it's okay to laugh at because it's not a real person. And number two, it's okay to talk about because it's not an actual fat person who we should blame for things. So because this is a thin woman in a fat suit, we can feel bad for the responses that she got because she's not actually fat.
So what is this forbidden fruit then about fatness that it's like, I want to make fun of it, but I know if it's attached to a person, it's wrong.
I mean, I saw somebody tweet the other day about, like, slime videos.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They were like,
Play with the slime.
I think people's obsession with slime is just like wishing that they could like touch fat bodies.
Whoa.
And I was like,
I never thought that.
yeah.
Do you think?
It could be, you know what I mean? Like it could be like
Just date a fat person. It's
just
not a big
saying.
deal. It's not a big deal.
Just saying, I think it is a like very complex relationship with like, oh, what would it be to be attracted, but like I'm not, but like I am, but like I'm not.
So like this is a one scenario where you're like, oh,
It's allowed.
it's okay. It's allowed.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like the West world.
Yeah, it's weird.
Bodies. Very odd. Okay, other notable examples of fat suits. Regina George in Mean Girls. Yeah. She gets fattened by Katie Aaron. Mean Girls is one of those things where it's just like, I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to look too closely. Because every time I look closely, I see something I don't like. And I mean, the whole plot line is she just like fattens her for revenge.
Yeah,
like,
I forgot
the longer you think about it. So we'll put a clip from that here where she's like, is butter a carb?
Yes. Gina, you're wearing sweatpants. It's Monday.
So?
So that's against the rules, and you can't sit with us.
Whatever. Those rules aren't real.
They were real that day I wore a vest.
Because that vest was disgusting.
You can't sit with us!
I remember watching it and feeling like now a thin girl knows what it feels like to gain weight when it's not in your control.
See, I feel like I felt that way too. Yeah, it's this weird thing of like desiring empathy. I mean, everybody wants to be understood. When this came out, I was also in junior high and I was like, see? But then it's also like, wait, that's like fucked up that they're like using fat as punishment.
Right.
It's
but she also
odd.
doesn't learn her lesson from it. She just like immediately drops weight or whatever. But like also, yeah, I remember watching it and being like, yeah, see? Yeah, it's a complicated one. Does she wear a fat suit in that though?
And just in that scene, they have her put on like a little thing. Okay, so and then of course, our like one of our most notable fat suit moments is Shallow Hal. So I found this very problematic Vulture article where they evaluate like top 10 fat suit moments and then like what the fat suit was made of and then a quote from the person who wore the fat suit and then like evaluating how fat the person would be if they were a person. Like very weird. Jeez. So anyway, from that article, there is a quote from Gwen about how she felt in the Shallow Hal fat suit. I felt no sexual energy from men. When I come to set with a suit on and feel none of that, it is palpable. Basically, if you haven't seen Shallow Hal, congratulations. The premise is like Shallow Hal gets a spell put on him. Jack Black gets a spell put on him so that he sees women for who they are on the inside. So when he looks at Gwyneth Paltrow, he sees it's so problematic. When he sees Gwyneth Paltrow, he sees Gwyneth Paltrow, but in reality, she's like a fat, very cute blonde woman. Yeah. So in the movie, some scenes when you see her face, it's Gwyneth Paltrow wearing a fat suit, but when you see her full body, it's a fat actress wearing or being herself. So this is from that article as well. Gwyneth had foam latex on her face and neck with padding all around her body. She wore fat pants, a fat shirt, and fat arms all made of pillowy fabrics. When needed, latex fat gloves were also used. Given the highly unrealistic appearance of the bear suit, though, the Farrelly brothers brought in a body double for shots of her arms and legs. So my only thought is, what is it like for that body double?
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Is she okay? I know. Tell her to DM us. Jeez. I know this was like 20 years ago. That's horrible. And think about how many, I mean, obviously, we all know how movies get made. A lot of people had to be like, okay, let's put it in the budget. We got to hire a fat actress. Every joke's going to be about how she's disgusting and it's ridiculous that somebody would touch her and love her. Let's, she got to get hair and makeup so that she looks like glistening. Like it's so many steps and it's so dehumanizing. And that movie did great at the box office. A lot of people saw Shallow Hal. I saw Shallow Hal in theaters and I was like, what's going on? Yeah. I was like, this is horrifying.
And I know a lot of people thought that it was like inside every fat woman is a beautiful thin woman, so you should love her in any ways is like the kind of thing.
And that is such like a haunting sentiment, and it's so like I feel like I see the image in like Self magazine or something where it's like
the
fat woman
outline
and thin inside. Yeah, and it's just like, why are we doing this?
I know. Well, it's just such horrible. It's that image exactly that I feel like when I think about times that I just didn't feel embodied in myself. Like I didn't feel like I was living. I didn't feel like I was living.
Yeah. So you're like, maybe the real me is somewhere under there.
Yeah.
It's like weird that we're being encouraged to think of ourselves in such segmented ways, and which in reality, it's like, if you lose weight, you're still you. And if you're fat, you're still you. Yeah. There's not another you. Like, Shallow Hal was just one of the most traumatic because I remember being like, oh, she's probably around my size. Okay. Great. And Hal's friends are like, Hal, are you okay? Yeah. Like, that's the trip.
The thing I remember the most is just the visual of them having sex for the first time. Mm-hmm. She takes off her underwear and throws it at him.
That's huge.
He's delighted to see her naked because he doesn't see her.
Yeah.
And that scene really affected my views on how I would be treated sexually.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, she throws her underwear at him. She takes it off as Gwyneth Paltrow, as thin Gwyneth Paltrow. Mm-hmm. She throws it at him, and it's like comically huge.
Yeah.
It's like
an elephant's underwear.
And he looks at it and he's like, what?
Because it's weird. Yeah, the movie's weird. The rules are weird. So he sees the real size of the underwear.
But
he's
not
like,
on her or whatever.
It doesn't
like,
make sense.
It doesn't make sense. But like I honestly thought about that scene, not even in a subconscious way, when I started dating again, just being like, oh boy, people are going to be seeing the real me. What is that like? Because I've never seen a sex scene where somebody is like wanting an actual fat woman when they're seeing one. You know, except for like fetishizy stuff, which is like not what I want.
No. It's just very awful because it's like you can tell that decision was just made purely as a visual gag.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, okay, media exists in the world. You will see that. That will affect the way that you anticipate your dating life. And it
you know
could
what?
be real.
You're lucky to catch my 3X underwear.
Yeah, that's the reality.
Yeah.
By the way, you're welcome.
Yeah.
And of course, I wanted to acknowledge the intersections when it comes to fat suits, because there's always intersections when it comes to anything in the media. Something that haunted me throughout my childhood is the Klumps. So it's Eddie Murphy playing every member of his family except for like the small child in fat suits, different genders, different ages. It's wild. So this scene, like this movie haunted me, this specific scene that we'll put a clip of here.
You know, Sherman, I think I do remember hearing something on TV about colon cleansing. They say everyone should have one. I'm thinking about getting me an appointment and go down and get my colon cleansed thoroughly.
You want your colon cleansed? Fine, I'm gonna clean mine. Yeah, now my colon is clean. I'm talking squeaky clean.
This movie haunted my childhood. I think when it comes to like black actors donning fat suits, it's kind of feeding into like multiple different stereotypes. So specifically with the Klumps, it's like, oh, you know, they're fat. His family, they're fat because they're like dumb and don't know any better. They're fat because they're like poor and they're like eating this garbage food or whatever. It's like with the mom characters, it's like, oh, she's like a mammy type, and so of course she has to be in a fat suit. It's like justified for all these reasons that are all just like these really harmful stereotypes all together in like a bad, problematic pie. And it's just so pervasive. Like I said, like there's several Klumps movies. There's a movie Norbit, the only movie I've ever walked out of in theaters. Yeah. That's also all black people in fat suits. And of course, there's a whole Medea franchise. Tyler Perry wears a fat suit.
I've never watched any of these movies.
Congratulations. I've seen I haven't seen a lot of Medea movies, but I've seen like 4.
This is
one of them's really good.
One of those things where, for no discernible reason I could really tell you, it felt like it would have been racist of me to go watch them.
Well, I mean, the thing is, within like the black filmmaking community, there's a ton of discourse about Tyler Perry and about Medea and about like what is he saying about the black community by making these movies. And so like let me read you a little clip about Tyler getting interrogated about his use of fat suits with the Medea character.
Okay.
Let me tell you what took me aback about that when people are like, how dare you put fat black people on television? These are caricatures, these are stereotypes. I was so offended because my aunt's fat, my mother's fat, my cousins are fat. People are like, how dare you? These harken back to my mammy, Amos and Andy. I would hear all those things and I would go, Later in the article, he says, he's talking about Spike Lee having beef with him, of course. He says, the article says, in a 2009 interview with Black Enterprise, Lee called Perry's television shows Meet the Browns and House of Pain as coonery and buffoonery. Both of those shows have fat suits in them. Perry responded to Lee's comments in a 2011 interview with the Wall Street Journal by stating, Spike Lee can go straight to hell. Spike Lee needs to shut the hell up.
Oh my God.
So they have mad beef about this.
Jeez.
And it's complicated because part of it is respectability politics. Like part
I've
of it
heard
is
that
like
leveled at Spike Lee.
Oh yeah, totally. But it's kind of Spike Lee's kind of like when I do it, it's fine. Like when I like put our shit on full display, it's fine. But the argument against Medea is always like, we look bad in front of white people, essentially.
Really?
It's like the thought. Yeah, it's kind of like white people are going to see this and they're going to think we're like this. Because Medea is like basically a bunch of different stereotypes all put in one, but he's saying, oh, well, it's fine because it's familiar to me, when in reality it's like that might be the case, but it's also going to be harmful. And he really holds on to it. Like there's another Medea movie coming out this summer. The Halloween Medea movie just came out. They do great. People love them. He's going to keep making them. He's a cajillionaire off these. But yeah, it's interesting because whenever I see like a black character in fat suit, it's like, oh, this hurts in a bunch of different ways. I don't like it. Honorary mention though, John Travolta in Hairspray, that was a sexy fat suit. Have you seen the movie version?
For sure.
I'll give you that one. That was a good fat suit.
Well, I like that one because even Hairspray is problematic in itself, but like I love it.
And I love Hairspray. You know? And I thought he looked really good in that. Just saying.
Dang.
So yeah, we've covered this a little bit, but basically, like, what are our through lines here for, like, what fat suits tend to represent and all these different types of media?
You did a good job listing them here.
Okay, so I'll read you the list I wrote before we got in here. I wrote matronly.
This is a good paper outline.
Thank you. I wrote matronly, out of control, unlovable, and not human. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the things I'm seeing in all of these different examples, which is sad.
It's like butt of the joke. or like a lesson for real people.
How can allies witness our experiences without having to literally experience them? Like, how can we still have the same effect of Tyra being like, wow, I didn't realize you were so blatantly being treated like that on the street without her having to, like, put on the fake shit on her neck or whatever?
I don't know, because what would you do is still going strong.
I think I just have the same tip that we gave in the Fat Friend the Fat Friend episode, which is just to be a witness for your friends without having to be like, really? That happened? Like, I think all of this comes from a genuine, almost like disbelief. Like, almost like people hear the stories of fat people and they're like, you're exaggerating.
Yeah.
Like, if that kind of seems like the undercurrent. Okay, the final question. If it does come out 2019, Rebel Wilson and a thin person in a fat suit to play her twin, if the movie comes out, what can we do?
I would think the push would be like, I'm fat, let's talk about it. Mm-hmm. I hope.
Be like, okay, this is what you think my experiences are like. Here's what it really is.
But, like, if that happened, it'd be such a nightmare.
Like, listen, if you have that idea and you work at a studio,
you
don't want these tweets.
Yeah.
It's just, I hope we're moving in a place where it's like, also just for comedy's sake, like, do better.
Yeah.
Be more creative. Don't punch it down. Let's not.
Well, there's just not that many jokes.
Because we already made, like, Shallow Hell's 2 hours long.
They did it. They did all of it.
They covered it. Okay. Do you want to wrap it up?
Yeah. So that's the meat of it for this week. We've solved Fatsuits. You're
welcome. This episode was sponsored by Undersummers, a company founded by Carrie Ray. Undersummers are soft and comfy shortlet slip shorts that come in sizes small to 4X. They are uniquely designed to stay put when walking without being constricting, and their fabrics are soft, lightweight, and perfect to wear with a dress.
As someone who suffers from HS and chub rub, it's hard for me to find a good solution for chafing, and Undersummers is that solution for me. I love that they are fun, comfy, and not shapewear. There are lots of styles of shortlet slip shorts, from simple to ones that have fun lace edging on them, and they're made to be seen, so go ahead and let them show. I have them in a bunch of colors, and I love them. Undersummers wants you to love your shortlets too, so they offer free returns and exchanges until you find a style and size you love.
SAF listeners can get 20% off until March 31st with code SAF at undersummers.com. Check them out on Instagram for outfit inspiration at Undersummers. And now it's time to Ask a Fatty. If you want advice, you can send a voice memo of yourself asking a question to FYI at she'sallfatpod.com. But I won't be mad at you if you don't. You don't have to apologize. But I do want that voice. You can record it on your computer or the voice memo app on your iPhone. Just keep it short, about 1 minute max. Or if you're shy, you can send us a plain old email at FYI at she'sallfatpod.com, and we might answer your question right here on the show. This week on Ask a Fatty, we have a very special letter from Hannah.
Dear Sophie and April, thank you for this podcast. Thank you for being super dream babes, and thank you for your chill vibes. You are music to my incredibly anxious ears. Same girl.
Same.
I'm writing to ask for advice. This morning I found out I have type 2 diabetes, and while I am so beyond grateful that my doctor has been so warm and really mindful with me, I'm afraid of my own inner voice and the voice of my family. I live with my partner, who is the greatest cheerleader a gal could ever hope for. I've told him and my dad, who I knew would be supportive and warm. He was diagnosed in the same way a few years back and managed a diabetic diabetes with ... diet and exercise. Now, I've been working on my self-love for many years. I've been trying to erase, or in the very least, minimize the internalized toxic diet culture that pervaded my every thought since I was a kid. My mom had me on Weight Watchers from a young age, and self-hatred for the women in my family is kind of devastatingly the norm. I've been working to empower my mom, aunties, cousin, sister, and nieces to know that it's okay to love themselves, and it's okay for other people to love themselves too. I'm scared to tell anyone else about this diagnosis. I'm scared of being monitored for what I eat. I'm scared of monitoring myself. I'm scared everything I've worked so hard to correct will be undone. I apologize, this is all over the place. It's not. I've just got home a couple of hours ago. I'm not sure what advice I'm asking for. Yes, you are. How do I work to control my diabetes while remaining totally self-loving? How can I live my best life with this diagnosis? Thank you for being my shining light. Oh my goodness. Love, Hannah. Hannah.
We love you.
We love you. Hannah, I just really wanted to answer this question because even though there's no voice memo, and so April was mad about it, I have been exactly where you are. I mean, I've not been exactly where you are because I don't call my mom, and also I don't have diabetes. But I had a lot of the same fears and feelings and thoughts when I was first, like, deciding to figure out what was going on with my like GI issues. I went to a GI doctor. So that's like my stomach just hurt all the time and I had a lot of acid reflux and just like felt really shitty all the time. And the doctor was basically like, you have SIBO and IBS and like I recommend the keto diet to lose weight. And I was like, I have to measure my pee sticks stuff shit. I'm not doing that. So I was like, okay, I got to figure out how to manage this through healthy eating, through a way, meaning eating in a way that's healthy for my body specifically. I was also very, very, very afraid of losing the, you know, body positivity that I'd worked so hard to keep track of. And I did what I told one of the writers who also talked about having diabetes in our doctor episode, found a nutritionist who worked with me, which I would also highly recommend for you, finding someone to help you with this, because this is really, really, really hard and not something that you should have to work on your own. This is not going to be out by next week, but I talked about this on my upcoming episode of the Food Psych podcast. So I'll drop a link in our show notes and talk about that when that's out. But I like talked about this exact thing of just like, it's really scary when you have spent so much time like working to overcome diet thoughts and dieting, and then you're being told you have to diet. I just think like it's really important to make a distinction between dieting, meaning like trying to cut calories in order to lose weight, and a diet, meaning a way of eating in a certain way. It was very hard for me. Like, I'm not gonna lie and tell you like it's not hard. It's hard, but it is very possible to figure out how to eat in a way that's right for your body, that's different from the way you eat now. I found when I was forced into this, which you're also being forced into this by your body, I was capable of paying more attention in a way I didn't think that I was. I was capable of saying, okay, I'm not going to be looking at this for calories. I'm going to be looking at this, like in your case, it'll be what, for like sugar level, right? Like blood sugar stuff, like things that'll affect your insulin, things that'll make it spike or get too low or whatever. You'll be looking at it for these like more scientific things, these things that are specifically about your body and what your body needs. And it's not for the purpose of losing weight. And it did feel very different for me. And it gave me a lot more power and feeling of strength that I could do that.
All I have to add is just that if people are listening to our health episode and looking for examples of like, how could diet culture be harmful?
Yeah.
Like, it's literally this, where you get trained your whole life on how to restrict and be on a diet. And then when you need to change the way you eat for your body, it triggers you. Yeah. And you can't take care of yourself.
Because diets don't work doesn't mean like never bother changing the way you eat. Nothing fucking matters.
No, it just means forcing yourself to eat 900 calories a day or whatever. It's bad for you. And then when you have to be like, I mean, obviously I don't have diabetes, but I go through this too where I'm like, okay, eating a bunch of cheese is going to make me shit. I'm obviously allergic to this, but I love it. And not eating cheese makes me feel like I'm on a diet. So I'm going to eat cheese, but my ass is on fire.
Stop!
But no, it's the reality is just kind of like restricting ruins your life in so many different ways. So this is an easy way to point to it. Is like, this person is trying to learn how to take care of themselves, and it's hard.
It's just like imperative that you find some kind of health professional who will help you manage this. I'm sure if you Google like, I'll do this, I will do this, and we'll put some in the show notes. But I'm sure that if you Google fat nutritionist plus diabetes, like you'll get someone who is like, I help people manage diabetes in a body positive way. Mm-hmm. You can exercise and eat in a more healthful way, you know, quote unquote, more healthful, like whatever that means for your specific body. And it does not have to be about weight. It does not have to be about losing weight at all. Like, just keep working, and we believe in you, and we're here for you. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you, Hannah.
Now let's move on to It's Okay, You Can Ask, a segment that I would once again like to remind you was created and conceived of by April.
We'll find out the answers to our burning questions like, oh, so we're drinking charcoal now?
Or what exactly is the goal of a twist out?
Again, these are pulled from real life experiences. So Soph, this week I am doing something you told me to do, which is I'm running out of white people questions. If anybody has some, please DM me. And so Sophie said, well, since you're running out of questions,
oh my God,
you should make a list of things that you don't think I would know, and then see if I know them. And I'm like, done and done. So I made a list of 5 things, and they're not, some of them are people, some of them are just objects, some of them are quotes.
Okay.
That feel
Is this
black
fun for
to
you?
me. This was so fun. That feel black to me. Like when I think black culture, these are the like one of the first 5 things that came to mind. Okay, number 1. Iyanla Vanzant.
Iyanla Vanzant is Oprah's like weird woman she was in a big fight with. I'm an Oprah stan.
Oh my god. Wait, what?
She's like that woman who Oprah was in a huge fight with, and then like a couple years ago they had that like big coming together, and it seemed pretty fake to me, but now she's like back on her channels.
Wait, what were they fighting about?
I don't remember. Should we Google?
We're going to take a brief break and
right?
Google.
That's who she is?
Yeah, she's a friend of Oprah's. I can't believe you knew that. Okay.
I know everything about Oprah.
Dang, I know. I totally forgot the Oprah loophole. Shit.
I love Oprah.
Shit.
Because God has told me that the time
Oh,
is now.
my Lord, just scratch my eye out with a plastic fork?
No.
I would not say that to you, Oprah Winfrey.
But what does anointed time and not appointed time mean?
It didn't mean in that moment. It just meant...
What does that mean? You said, I have
I
fasted.
don't know what it meant. I was crazy. I needed a pill or something. I don't know what it meant, Oprah Winfrey. I was not telling you.
But Iyanla's like a life coach, right?
Life coach, yeah.
And Oprah, she's one of the ones who Oprah's always like, I see her light and she brings out the truth.
Absolutely.
Like, that kind of stuff.
Okay, well, do you know the Iyanla quote?
You let a penis penetrate your friendship.
No.
Penis!
Oh my God.
She's really
Believe
fucking
that.
funny. Okay, so you got number 1.
Yay.
Congrats. I'm shocked. Okay, number 2. B2K.
It's not a weird version of Boys to Men?
Maybe.
Okay. Is it something about Beyonce?
No.
Beyonce 2 Knowles?
All right, so you're out of questions.
Okay.
So B2K is a boy group from the early thousands that
Okay.
was kind of like...
That's okay. It feels familiar.
Yeah, familiar. Okay, so they had a song like...
Is Omarion associated with them?
Omarion was in B2K.
Hell yeah.
You were
Okay.
close. Wait, so how do you know who Omarion is?
Only because, well, I know like his singles.
Like Icebox?
Yeah.
You know Icebox?
I don't know the words to it, but I would like know it.
Okay.
I read an article a while ago when
She knows Omarion from an article.
No. I know B2K because I definitely didn't know them when they were on.
Okay.
But I knew Omarion. Somebody was like complaining about how they weren't getting like a reunion tour when NSYNC and Backstreet Boys were doing a reunion tour.
Oh yeah, this is recent. This is from Love and Hip Hop
Remember
Hollywood.
that?
Yes.
They were getting one, and then I saw someone be like, "What about B2K?" And I think I did the same thing where I was like, "The murderer," and I was like, "Oh,
oh my goodness!"
But I think I know of them because I watched clips of them as now doing their songs.
And you were like, what?
At like a reunion show.
I see.
And they're pretty good.
Their number 1 hit is Bump Bump Bump.
Yeah.
Baby, turn around and let me see.
I know this song.
Sexy body go bump bump bump.
Okay, I got this one.
All right, you're doing great. Okay, so number 3, SoulGlo.
Is this a brand?
Yes.
Okay.
But there's a twist.
But I don't know what this is, but I'm going to try to guess what it is.
Okay.
Is it a movie brand? Is it a fake brand in a movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It sounds like something that they would have made when Beyonce was in the one Austin Powers movie, something they would have made her character talk about.
Oh, no, this is like 20 years before.
Okay.
But interesting. Okay, so I'm going to have you, I just put it in, click that link. You're going to find out what SoulGlo is.
Sexy, easy as 1, 2, 3.
Just let your soul glow. Just let it shine through. Just let your soul.
Okay, I remember this
Yeah.
because I have seen Coming to America.
You have. Good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That was one of the movies where it's like every Saturday for like 6 years.
Really?
We would watch. Because I think the most ridiculous part about Coming to America is like, it seems over the top, but my parents were like, no, when we first got here, that's how we were acting. Like, that's literally how we were
really
acting.
funny.
SoulGlo is just like, mwah.
I watched Going to America when I was like young, and I don't remember it. And then Victor and I rewatched it like fairly recently. Victor loves it.
I love it.
And I remember being like very taken aback by the like African dance scenes, just because I was like, "Is this allowed? Is this real?"
Allowed?
Well, just like it wasn't clear to me if that was like people making fun of Africa.
Well, yeah. Lovingly.
Well, I remember this being in the movie, and I remember feeling like I wasn't getting a joke.
It's just a reference to, like, if you watch 70s hair commercials and 80s and also 90s, it's just so over the top. It's like dripping, glistening froze.
I asked Victor, I think, to explain it, and he was like, it's a thing that's like brothers and sisters. And I was like, what?
That's great.
Like, what are you talking about?
Damn. Okay, you're doing great.
Okay.
Number 4, Kaya.
Is this Kaiya?
It's Khia.
Khia. Oh. Okay, she's a singer.
Debatable.
Okay. Does she have someone's baby?
This is who Kaya is.
Okay.
My neck, my back,
right.
with my pussy and my crack.
Okay. That's who that is. No, I definitely thought it was Kia.
But you do know My Neck, My Back.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. White girls loved singing that to be, like, cool. Like, sexy.
That's not sexy.
Yeah.
Okay, number 5.
Wait, did she do anything else?
No.
That's it?
That's it.
That's all she ever did?
That's it.
Is she okay?
No. She, like, performs at children's birthday parties now.
Dang. Doing
Poor
that?
Kaya. Literally doing that. Okay, number 5. It's a quote. And tell me if you know where the quote is from.
Okay.
Gorgeous gowns, beautiful gowns.
Gorgeous gowns, beautiful gowns. Gowns.
It's okay, here's the hint. It's a person who's black talking about a person who is white, and they're both famous.
Okay, so what I'm getting from that is like a I don't know her comment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're talking about Taylor Swift?
You did it!
Okay, so who would be talking about Taylor Swift? Is it Whitney?
Oh no, R.I.P. I feel like she would have said this though.
Okay, great gowns, beautiful gowns.
It's an interview where they asked Aretha Franklin her opinion on a bunch of different singers, and all the other singers, she's like, love her talent, great range. They get to Taylor Swift, and she's like, great gowns, beautiful gowns.
Incredible. Wait, that's amazing.
The whole interview was like 12 minutes of her just being like, this singer, this singer, this singer.
Wow.
And he's like, her gowns are nice. It's the ultimate shade.
Oh, that's
you did
amazing.
so well. Wait, I want
Thank
you to
you.
do this for me next episode.
But you're just gonna know all of them.
But no, there's stuff I don't know. Like when you're talking about square dancing or whatever. I was like, huh?
Okay.
There's like think of obscure white. I thought of obscure black. You
What's
did so good.
obscure white?
Like the different corners of white I don't know about.
Yeah. Okay.
You'll do great. This is great.
This was fun. I feel proud.
Okay, you did great.
Thank you so much. And that's our show. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to the stuff we mentioned today. And don't forget to send us your questions via email or voice recording to FYI@she'sallfatpod.com.
Please make sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's super important in making sure people find the show. If you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we'll give you a shout out on the pod next week.
She's All Fat is created, produced, and hosted by us, Sophie Carter-Kahn and April K. Quio. We are an independent production. If you'd like to support the work we do, you can join our Patreon by visiting patreon.com/she'sallfatpod. When you pledge to be a supporter, you'll get all sorts of goodies and extra content. This week, we're posting more information, resources, and readings about all the things April mentioned in that It's Okay, You Can Ask, just for our Patreon supporters.
Our music was composed and produced by Carolyn Pennypacker Riggs. Our website was designed by Jesse Fish, and our logo is by Britt Scott. This episode was mixed and edited by the incredible and patient Maria Wardell. Our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter handles are @She'sAllFatPod. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, and wherever else you get your pods.
Bye.
Bye.
She's all fat.
I remember that. She was like choking back tears.
Oh, yeah. She's like, I wasn't hot for a whole day.
She's like, it felt so. People looked past me.
They didn't even look at my tits. My tits are still big. You didn't even look at my titties.
Whatever.